In the big Bilge Tank, we'll keep you in the know. In the big Bilge Tank, we'll fix your techie woes, and we'll break things and we'll make things till we're all together raking, and we'll raise a cup of grog down in the big Bilge Tank. In the big Bilge Tank, come and join our pirate crew. In the big Bilge Tank, we will show you what to do. And we'll hack it till we crack it, and we'll tell the world about it and forget to tidy up. That's why it's now a Bilge Tank.
Hello and welcome to episode 103. It's been a while since I've done this. 103 of the Bilge Tank live from Sheffield on Sea. I'm here with Phil and Sandy and a wide array of Pycom goodies.
Bang on time as well.
Nailed it, Sandy. We're a little bit late because Sandy set up a cool demo this morning, and he and I were playing around with it for the Bilge Tank, and then we thought, in true maker style, let's make this better. Let's do more, and then totally broke it real hard. Yeah. Then tried to fix it again, and then figured out that it's taken 20 minutes to work out that a single character was missing, just because of some of the code was treating a byte array as a string. Very boring, but there you go. Anyway, we're back.
My adventures this morning.
Last week we added the Pycom range to our store. If you haven't seen Pycom before, they are basically taking on the kind of the mantle of the IoT platform for all kind of wireless solutions. So their pitch is that you have a single format of board that looks something like this. We'll get on close up.
Yeah.
Phil, camera master.
Ooh.
Master the cameras.
Right, okay.
You have to look for the picture of the little bug that's close up. There you go. Boom.
But then I can picture us in the bottom left corner like this.
You can try and do that. Nailed
Wow.
it. So effectively, this looks very like a Teensy or a Feather or a Arduino Mini or something like that. It's that kind of breadboardable format. You bang it across the centre rail of the breadboard. Very easy to kind of build your own projects off. But the nice thing is that they do. Firstly, they run MicroPython, which is awesome. We love MicroPython. And secondly, they have a wide range of radio options. So I think I don't know what order I've put these in.
That one's got at least 3 radios in it anyway.
I picked up the wrong boxes. This week we've added... there's literally the last 4. Do you want to get the Wi-Fi first, actually, because that's like the basic. So they have the Wi-Fi, and this is Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. So it's like a nice dev board, standard Wi-Fi, standard Bluetooth, MicroPython, really easy to get it set up.
Yeah, the Wi-Fi is surprisingly easy to get set up, isn't it?
It's just some Python code, right? You've got like a boot.py on there, so you connect to it as FTP, and it gets you connect it via a micro USB cable. It gets a local IP address that your machine can talk to, right?
Yep.
Am I right? Yeah. And then you FTP into that. You see the file system, and in the file system is a file called boot.py. You open that up, and all you have to do is put in your SSID, Wi-Fi password, and any other parameters required, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And once you've done that, reboot the device and you're on Wi-Fi.
Connected.
So it's pretty amazing.
Wow.
So their kind of base model is Wi-Fi and Bluetooth only, and then on top of that they start adding new radio features.
Yep.
So the Wi-Fi is Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. The SciPi, and there's a bit of a theme here, is SigFox, which is basically like a cellular style network. It doesn't, I don't believe, use the actual cellular towers. It uses a separate network, but it's the same kind of technology.
Yep.
And with SigFox, you create an account like you would with a mobile phone. They are designed for data, so for things like sensors that want to log data, generally use a very small amount of bandwidth, and I can't remember the details. We actually spoke to
It had a very limited throughput. You could send like a packet an hour, basically.
Yeah, you're talking like low kilobytes per day, but it's great for something you want to just put in a field and have log data back, because obviously the network is kind of fixed infrastructure. It's not something you create.
I don't know if it still applies, but at the time we talked to them, anything like this that was a development board and not a finished product would fall under their kind of you can tinker about with it for free tier, wasn't it?
Ooh, have a look.
If I remember correctly. It'd be worth looking into it for these, actually.
I think they still have like a cap on the something like the number of messages per day that you can send.
But it's designed for IoT stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's that
it might
kind
have
of
been one
platform.
every 10 minutes, I can't remember. I can pull every number out back.
Yeah. So as well as the SigFox, it's got the Wi-Fi and the Bluetooth as well. So they all have Wi-Fi and Bluetooth.
And then,
and then
in
some
this
of them
case,
have got the
plus
additional.
SigFox.
Yeah.
And it's worth noting that certainly the SigFox, this board requires an external antenna, which I didn't. Well, you can see it here, but basically you can buy an antenna kit which gives you the correct antenna with SMA connectors.
Yeah, the SigFox and the LoPi, they both need the antenna.
They do, and I think the two that we haven't got in stock yet, but will be coming soon,
they need it as well.
also need it. So then we've got the LoPi. So this is LoRa, Wi-Fi and Bluetooth.
Yep.
Sandy's demo will be using the LoRa stuff. And LoRa is a long-range wireless kind of interface. And effectively, it's the kind of thing where you can set up your own wireless communications up to about 10 kilometres in range, depending on environment.
Yep. I
But
think it's about 860 megahertz. I think
it's different in
Frequency.
Europe and Japan versus
Yeah.
America and other locations. So we've got the European edition, which is, it's around 860 megahertz or something.
Yeah.
But these are awesome for setting up wireless links kind of in your own environment, I guess. So like
In your neighbourhood.
in your neighbourhood
Yeah.
with a friend, if you live on a farm, I don't know, if you've got like a lot of land, obviously you can put one a couple of kilometres away even and still send messages backwards and forwards.
Yeah.
Nick Stoker is saying, and I believe this is in reference to SigFox, that it's 12 bytes per message and 140 messages every 24 hours. So it's pretty useful.
Yeah.
You know, it's good for what it is. And the LoRa stuff is cool because you can use it with LoRa gateways. So some people set up LoRa gateways in kind of high locations in towns and cities, and you can use those to kind of like bounce messages between devices.
You can
Or-
you can set these up as gateways, can't you?
Oh, you can set this up actually as a gateway.
Yeah,
Cool.
they call it a nano gateway,
Right.
and they've got in the documentation they've got like codes to set it up as a gateway. So if you bought two, you could have one set up in your house as the gateway, and then have have one
nodes
or,
around.
one or more kind of like one in your shed, one in your garage, one at the bottom of your garden, whatever.
And one key thing about, which we'll talk more about LoRa later because the demo uses that anyway, so we can get into that in a bit
Yeah.
more detail. And that's the ones that we've got in stock at the moment. In September, we'll be getting the other two models, which is the GPi, and this is using LTE Cat M1. This is basically GPRS effectively, but you need to make sure obviously it's going to work with the network you want to use with the correct kind of SIM card that you're using. We'll have more detail about that when we actually get them in stock. And the other one, which is the FiPi,
This is kind of the all singing, all dancing one, isn't it?
this is everything.
Everything,
So
yeah.
LoRa, SigFox, GSM, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, the Wakes.
The works,
have
yeah.
we opened this?
No,
Go on, have a look. Let's see what this beast looks like. We
Just
got
chips
a sample of
pour
each
out
just to have a look
whatever.
at, but we will get these in stock in September.
it's all very well.
They're very well sealed.
Yeah.
I found if you just mush inside the box, you can like crack the tape because I'm impatient.
Squish.
Got it.
And they all come in cute little boxes, which is nice. Oh, don't do that. Don't do this at home. Don't do this.
Well, basically it's that or a knife, and I'm not
I'm glad you didn't
I'm not
bring
to
a
be
knife.
trusted with knives. So
Oh, wow. It doesn't actually look all that bigger. So I assume you still only attach one antenna and presumably...
two. If you see, there's two connectors there. There's one at either side.
The other one's optional for Wi-Fi range though, isn't
Yeah.
it?
So this one is Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and that one is for the other radio stuff.
Yeah.
So LoRa, SigFox, and
I wonder if you can use those
Cellular.
technologies simultaneously or what. I don't
Basically
know.
create yourself a Wi-Fi to LoRa bridge.
I
Yeah?
think they would. I don't know. Would they interfere with each other?
Well, it may be that you can bring up one interface, do something, take it down, bring up the other.
Yeah, I'm sure you probably could. Yeah.
Interesting. Anyway, it's kind of cool. We'll have more of a play with that before we get them in stock, so
Yep.
that we can actually tell you something about it, which is cool.
So then they also have like a they basically have an extension board.
Let's go big. There we go.
So this is one of the cases. So there's a range of cases in various different colours: green, blue, clear, and a kind of like smoked grey colour.
Ninja.
Yeah. And in the case you can fit. So on the bottom there is the extension board.
And effectively, the extension board gives you a power input, a JST for the power input instead of USB.
Yeah.
It also breaks out duplicates of the headers. And what else does it do? It has a button.
It's got some jumpers on it for setting various things
okay.
kind of on and off. So you can set serial on and off.
Because actually, if you take the module
Various
off,
other
there
things.
it looks very basic. But if you pull the module off, the low pi or whatever, there's quite a lot of circuitry under there.
Yeah.
It looks like it's even got a charge circuitry for a presumably that JST is for a LiPo, and there's a little charge indicator. So
Yeah, I think it
looks
does
like
charge. Yeah,
almost like a
yeah.
UPS, effectively.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, really? So there is.
Nice stuff. Yeah, we'll look into the expansion board a bit more because it's more than it
We've been too
appears
busy
on the
playing
surface.
with them to understand them, really, haven't we?
To a degree.
Well,
That's
I
all
think-
been fun.
Yeah, I think that LED is controllable as well, so I think that's
Mhm.
hooked up to one of the pins.
Cool.
So
and
then,
then that itself augments into this case, which is super robust. It screws together with 4 screws into
Yeah.
tapped posts that are in the plastic. So it's it's a nice little
Yeah.
solution for actually installing this device somewhere.
Yeah. and then it's got a hole at the side for your micro USB for power, and there's no hole for the GST because the way that it works is the battery actually goes inside, so you stick your LiPo battery.
Oh, cute.
It could either go on the top or it could go kind of in that. If you have a small one, it could go in that gap at the bottom.
Oh, in fact, Phil is
Yeah.
using the very LiPo functionality right here, so
Yeah.
we'll look at that later.
On the actual boards themselves, the microcontroller boards, there is basically either one or two, I think they're SMA or UFL,
I'm pretty sure
I can never remember to be honest.
there's 2 on all of them
Um,
apart from the Wi-Fi, presumably.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Because basically the Wi-Fi SMA connector is optional because there's a chip antenna
Yeah.
on board that
Yeah.
does Wi-Fi and Bluetooth
Yeah,
as well.
that's
I've
in
got
the
him running
top,
mine with
Yeah.
no
top
antenna
right
at the
corner.
moment.
There's also a WS2812 LED that is controllable as well.
Mm-hmm.
By default, it kind of does a heartbeat thing when it's connected to Wi-Fi.
I like that,
You
right.
can disable that and then control it yourself.
Okay, one. Phil's broken his LiPo.
And then the antenna screws into it basically just you
You can use the USB, right?
Yes.
Okay.
you
Fine.
screw the connector into the case with the nut that's on the outside, and then just attach your antenna. And
your
screw your
standard
antenna on the outside. Obviously,
Nice.
if you wanted to use a bigger antenna to mount on your roof or something like that to get really good range,
Mm-hmm.
then you could just unscrew this one and connect it up to that.
Yeah, or use a SMA to SMA converter to change the mini SMA into a full-size SMA
Yeah.
or whatever. And you could connect it to a substantial antenna if you wanted to, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And all of this is in the usable frequency ranges for hobbyist stuff. So obviously these ranges of communications are set up or are available specifically for this kind of project. So you won't get in trouble. Can you check us that white power cable, please, Phil? Sandy.
Yep.
Phil has broken his LiPo battery in a fit of rage.
Corrected the label.
Cool.
Yeah, that's not going to work, is it?
Wow, wow, wow.
So that's kind of cute. And then,
Touch up with some.
as well as the expansion board plus case is kind of if you want to do a proper installation with this thing. So the nice thing about Pycom is that they have the full range, but they're all in the same format, as you can see. So you can basically drop one in, program it, swap it to something else. If you want to switch from doing LoRa stuff to wireless stuff or go to SigFox, you'll need to make some changes for the actual code that wants to talk. But the rest of it will be the same. The pinouts is identical. Everything basically works in the same way. And it's got things like exposes I2C interfaces and everything you'd expect from a kind of microcontroller platform.
Plus all the usual kind of Python built-in libraries,
Yeah.
like math and
It's a lot
Math
easier
and
to
OS
do
and-
many things in
Yeah.
Python than it is in C.
The thing I love about it is you basically just like flash your code to it, and then as soon as you reboot, it just runs, which I love.
That's surprisingly fast, actually.
So as well as the expansion board, there are a couple of kind of shield style boards. I don't know, what do the guys call these? They're not shields because they go underneath, aren't they? Underpants boards.
Yeah,
Who knows?
I don't know, just,
Don't know if they've got a name. But effectively these are like shields or hats, and they add extra features to your Python device.
that's the other thing I forgot is the extension board and the two of these boards have got micro SD slots on, and it's really, really simple to log stuff to the micro SD. Basically,
Nice.
there's an SD library built into MicroPython on the devices, and you just import that, mount it, so like give it a mount point, and it mounts as as essentially a separate partition, and then you can just write stuff. You can create a new file
Just using the standard
on that
Python
Yeah,
on
file
that mount
operations,
point,
presumably.
and then just write stuff to the file,
Cool.
and then just pop the SD card out and stick it in
Got
your
a handy
PC.
for
and-
buffering
That-
data. as well.
Yeah, I was about to say that means that if you do have it out in the field and the connection goes down for whatever reason, you don't even need to worry about the kind of the RAM of the chip
'Cause you've
itself.
got local
you can
backup.
log it locally, and
Yeah.
then as soon as the connection comes back, you can
Yeah,
throw it
and
to the
tons of
master.
space as well, obviously, with it being an SD card.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't have to worry about how much data you're writing to it.
Cool. One thing I've got to say, looking at all of these, the production quality is excellent. They're really tidy. You
Yeah.
can tell it from all of this stuff. It's well made. It's nice.
Yeah.
So you've got the PyTrack,
PyTrack.
and this is GPS plus accelerometer, right?
Yep, correct.
So effectively, you put your Pycom on top of one of these, then it means you can now obviously do GPS location, maybe install it into a camper van or something like that. And presumably, if you're out of GPS signal, you could use the accelerometers to do some dead reckoning, so that you can kind of keep tracking position
You're
until
still going
GPS is
forwards at
yeah,
probably
yeah,
that speed,
effectively.
yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of cool. And the other one is the PySense, which is a mixture of sensors. Which I'm going to have to
Got-
read off the box. Accelerometer, temperature, pressure, humidity, and light. So it's probably a BMP 280 or
It's based
something
on
like that.
505
Oh, humidity. It's the
plus humidity.
BME 280.
BME 280.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and a light sensor plus accelerometer.
Yep.
So that's kind of cool for all sorts of projects. Nice.
Richard asks, how does the PySense fit into the Pi case?
They do fit in. They don't screw into the case. So essentially, what you have to do is put it.
Good old blue tack.
Oh, where are we? So there's the micro USB slot on the side, and essentially what you can do is you can kind of stick it in sideways and kind of line it up.
Mhm.
And actually, despite the fact there's no way to kind of screw it into the case, it sits quite snugly in there,
Okay.
and you can still kind of like pull the micro USB in and out, and the board won't kind of like rattle about inside the case.
So it's not designed for it,
Too
but it
much.
kind of works.
Exactly, yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
cool. And you can't, I don't believe you can't use these, the track and the sense at the same time as the breakout board, right?
That's
It's-
correct. They don't stack on top.
Yeah.
It's like a separate thing.
Cool.
The only disadvantage is you don't have access to all of the pins, so the pins aren't all broken out like they are on the extension board. But
Hmm.
I guess the idea is that with these being kind of like all-in-one things, you probably don't need access to the pins. I mean, you could
There
almost...
looks to be a small header there, which doesn't appear to be a test header. I don't know if that's
Yeah, it's
a
not-
modest number of pins made available.
It's not
or-
labelled, and I'm not sure what they are. But
Okay.
I mean, you could always, you could certainly bodge on wires onto the pins at the bottom if you wanted.
We don't bodge around here, Sandy. You know that.
And there's a bunch of pads as well, which are probably, presumably, some of the connected to some of the pins.
Yeah, cool. Okay.
So yeah, so that's it.
Shall we have a look at Phil's demo first?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, in terms of kind of like connecting to them and uploading code, there's a couple of different options. Basically, one is to use FTP, and then basically just like use something like CyberDuck or FileZilla or something like that.
But not WinSCP as we found, because that just does not like it at all.
And then basically kind of download the file, edit it, and then upload it again.
It's a single-threaded FTP server, so if you
And-
try and get two simultaneous connections, it kind of goes...
Yeah,
And when you say download it, edit it, upload it again, actually, CyberDuck certainly, and I think some of the IDE integrations, they do the upload automatically when you save the file, right?
Yeah.
So you're editing in maybe Sublime Text or whatever. When you save the file, CyberDuck detects the change and will automatically push it back up
Yep.
to the device.
Yep.
So it's a bit more slick than it sounds.
and the other option is they've got an Atom plugin that basically allows you to have an Atom project open with folders and files in it. And then there's a little sync button down at the bottom, and you just click that, and it syncs everything up to the board. It also has a little REPL at the bottom, so you can see the output of your codes
Nice.
in real time. The other way to get a REPL is to basically just open a serial connection. So either with screen or
Putty.
or
You can telnet
or
basically.
putty
yeah.
or telnet, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Which
yeah.
is cool. And you can set a username and password on these as well. So when you actually go to log in via FTP or via a telnet connection, the first thing it will do is obviously ask you for a username and password, which defaults to MicroPython, but you can change those.
It'd be fairly tragic IoT devices if you couldn't change that.
Yeah, it's important. It is important. So that is kind of cool. We'll have a quick look at Phil's demo. Should I check it even? Is it
wanna-
working?
Yeah,
I think Windows is trying to update again, Phil.
Cancel that.
no,
Snooze.
Snooze. Yeah.
Hey, okay. So Phil found a slightly gnarly WS2812 driver for
I could probably have
MicroPython.
kept looking for drivers until I found one that already worked, but yeah,
Well,
this one was...
As you can see, this is the Wi-Fi, so this is the one that's Wi-Fi and Bluetooth only. The board is actually a little bit shorter, but the pinout's exactly the same. That's why it's only got the single antenna connector. But basically, you've taken it over to a mini black hat hacker, you stuck a unicorn fat on there,
Yep.
and you've turned it into essentially like a RESTful API for just setting the colour on a unicorn fat.
It's a terrible API.
It's really
But it
awful.
works.
Do you want to get a tablet?
Can we
as
get
well,
the tablet in
There's
there?
nothing to see, so
I can
it's literally a URL. But we'll have a quick look. So there you go. You can see the URL.
The entire
is,
API is there in the URL, basically.
So I can change it. So basically, what we've got here is WS2812 is effectively the kind of the endpoint for the API, and then the 4/2/47 are
Oh.
RGB.
It also supports Visual
triplets.
Studio Code ID.
It does,
Plugin.
yeah.
That's good because I use Visual Studio Code and not
Oh.
Atom.
So what colour do we
So
want?
I'm a bit dark side.
Should we just totally
Red.
blast it out?
Yeah.
Obviously,
It's like magenta.
yeah, I've got a bit of blue in there. There you go.
Yes.
So effectively, that's running MicroPython. How does the HTTP library work?
It's not even an HTTP library, it's just doing bare TCP sockets
Just
and a
socket,
very,
yeah.
very, very basic implementation.
So
of
you were just
HTTP
sniffing for an
protocol.
HTTP request, effectively?
Yeah, and then splitting the
You're
request
a
URL.
madman.
and
You're a
matching
madman.
the first part of the
Phil.
request URL and using the second. It's great because in Python, obviously you can split strings, you can cast strings to integers, and you can do all sorts of stuff that in C is a little bit tiring to do, where you have
Yeah.
to bring in a library. It's easy to do hacky, terrible stuff like this.
Which is why you like
Right.
it so much.
Yes, I like it because it just allows me to shoot myself repeatedly in the foot.
At great speed.
So basically,
Sweet.
you spent about an hour rewriting
Yeah,
the
the library.
WS2812
and
library.
15 seconds getting the web API up and running.
But no, that's kind of cool. I wonder if it...
WS12 library is cool though. It uses SPI, so it fires up the SPI interface, uses only the master out slave in pin,
Mhm.
and for every bit of the color value, it outputs a byte over SPI, and that byte will have like either the first 3 or the first 5 significant bits set, so that what you actually see on the data line is a high or low pulse.
Yeah. But if you don't know
Yeah.
how to drive WS2812, effectively it's a timing-based signal,
Yeah,
so there's no
it is.
clock, but the data is sent in pulses at a very specific interval, and if the pulse is a bit longer, it's a 1, and if the pulse is a bit shorter, it's a 0. And that's basically it. And that's the reason that WS2812s are a pain to drive, because you have to keep that timing. If you deviate by more than, or certainly
It's
more than
plus
500
minus 150
microseconds,
microseconds, isn't it? Or something like that.
for the actual,
Or is it nanoseconds?
it's nanoseconds, 150 nanosecond deviation for
Yeah.
the ones and zeros.
Just not a
And
lot
if you
of
pause
micro-
for say 500 microseconds, then it's actually a reset signal,
Yeah.
and the whole chain gets destroyed and starts again. Which is why it doesn't work very well from things like the Pi, and shouldn't really work very well from something like MicroPython that's got garbage collection, because you've always got the risk that your garbage collector or some background service is going to kick in, take over, and basically start chomping through the CPU while you're trying to do your tight update loop. And that's why this is using the SPI interface, because you can basically load it with a chunk of data, send it to the interface,
Yeah,
and
mate.
the hardware will just deal with it in the background. So. And it's a nice hack, because basically you end up sending 2 different values via SPI.
Yeah, the
Two
library I
different
used
nibbles.
had some really, really interesting kind of techniques
Mhm.
for creating the data that it outputs. It has a lookup table of 4 different values, which represent the possible permutations of 2 bits. So it was basically shifting down. If we find, I don't even know. You can.
It was cool the way they did it.
SFTP
We'll
into it.
put some code up
Yeah.
later. We'll tidy it up and we'll make it available,
Kind of
so you can have
I
it.
shall
nosy.
fork the GitHub repo and submit my changes as a pull request. it just did not work at all for me when I first fired it up.
But we got there in the end. Okay, so next we can do the other demo, which is Probably cooler. Sorry, Phil.
Yeah.
No.
Not because yours isn't cool, but just range,
Mine's
man.
so
It's
cool.
range.
It's got RESTful API.
So we're gonna send Phil on a mission, on a remote mission. You have a
I'm
LoRa.
gonna get shot, aren't I?
Probably. You have a low pi set up with a battery pack. And
Actually, will we switch these round? I'm just thinking if Phil takes the sender, then we'll be able to see if it's still flashing. When
was
it
that how
falls.
we did it this morning?
That's the that's the way we did it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, do it that way.
Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah.
what?
Okay. You want the battery then?
Yeah.
Are you not tracking my location at this point?
Just swap both things. Yeah, go on then. That's it.
Cool.
So we were hoping to actually track Phil's location with GPS, but we didn't get there. So what these are doing is, let us know, Sandy. What's the green one doing?
So the green one is the sender, and basically it's sending a message out on a particular frequency, which is in the LoRa range, and the important thing is that we tweak the settings, so kind of the power and.
Well, I was going to talk about that more when Phil's gone out of the room, because then we'll have loads of time
Okay,
to
we'll talk
chat
about
about
that,
it.
right.
But basically, this one's sending a
Essentially,
message every 2.5 seconds.
Sending a message. The other one is just listening for messages. And if
Is the other one blinking?
if it gets the specific message that I'm sending, which is your,
Yeah.
it blinks the LED every time it receives that message.
And I believe I was looking at the code over your shoulder, but this one basically pauses every 2.5 seconds between each message.
Yeah.
And this one pauses 2.5 seconds between looking for a message.
I think it's less than that. Actually.
Oh, okay, right, cool.
Yeah.
But roughly, we should see that light blink once every 2.5 seconds.
Yeah.
So should we put that under the close-up camera? Put the close-up camera in the corner,
I was
and then we
going
can
to
leave
fire
that
up the
visible.
live chat on the YouTube app, but my app is too old to see the chat.
I believe we could patch you in on a phone call.
How?
I think.
How?
Uh,
This is going to end badly.
oh, we may not. No, it's not set up at the moment.
No.
No, never mind. We won't do that. But you're on Slack, right? Yeah, we'll sort it.
No, it possibly
So
won't.
we'll get the close-up camera.
Did it.
Boom.
Yes, we did this earlier. And it was
Okay.
surprising the range.
It was pretty cool, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Phil,
How far away did you get?
well, we're not going to tell you. We're just going to let you go roaming, okay? And I might call you. You got your phone?
Okay.
All right. We'll put you on speaker if I call you, so no profanities.
I'm going to put this in my bag.
No ranting at pigeons,
Don't
Phil.
want to get arrested.
Just carry it. I just carried it earlier. It's fine.
No.
All right. So we're sending Phil off to his doom with that. You can see in the corner. Every time the LED blinks, that means that we received a message from his device.
Yep.
And while he's gone, we could talk a bit more about the LoRa and things that we found doing this. Because the first test that you did with this was not very successful. As
Yep.
in, you walked out the building and got nothing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which is
Yeah, I walked out the front door and basically got like a few steps and it died. So the advantage of LoRa is because it's a much lower frequency than things like Wi-Fi.
so Wi-Fi operates at about 2.4 gigahertz.
Yep.
This LoRa is operating at about 860 megahertz.
Yep.
So it's a quarter of the frequency, a third of the frequency, give or take.
Yep. So the advantage of that is it travels over a longer distance. The disadvantage is the penetration isn't quite as good.
Yeah. It's a trade-off of like bandwidth versus range
Yep.
versus penetration through
Yep.
materials, and
Yep.
you know, Wi-Fi is designed to work in your house and to give you the fastest speed you can get. So
Yep.
they optimise for that basically.
Yep.
But range-wise, I believe Wi-Fi is capped in really good circumstances with good transmitter and receiver to about 1 kilometre, give or take.
Yeah.
But you're talking like line of sight, nice and open environment.
Yep.
Whereas,
Whereas this I think can get up to about 5 kilometres. I think. with
They
line
say
of
10.
sight. Did they say 10?
they say 10, and we are going to try that one day. We'll
Yeah.
give it a go. We'll find
Yeah.
somewhere we can do that. But
I'm not going to spoil it, but the range is pretty good.
we were surprised
Yeah.
because we're in the centre of Sheffield here, and you weren't in line of sight.
Yeah.
Like there was no attempt to stay in line of sight.
There's a lot of low buildings. When it started dropping out, that was when it was kind of in amongst kind of multi-storey buildings
Mhm.
that were obviously a much kind of bigger obstacle for it. So I guess with kind of low things, then it probably kind of like refract. Would it refract?
It's like air bending or something. I don't know. I think it's mostly reflections.
Reflections, yeah.
Because I don't see the signal. You know, I think it's basically effectively, can it reflect off surfaces to get there? But thinking about where you got to this morning, and just, you know, we know the area really well. We walk around it all the time. Like trying to mentally think about how that signal could have got to you. It's difficult to understand it, how effective it could be, really.
Yeah.
And you can see it's still blinking. Phil's been gone for. Oh, it's down here. It's so confusing. Phil's been gone for some time now. Don't know how far he's got. Has it stopped?
Stopped.
Okay, let's find out where he is.
Phil walks pretty fast, so he could actually be quite a long way away.
Should we just not call him? Should we just carry on? Where is he? Where's he got to? Phil. Call.
So basically, what I did to kind of improve the range of it, I basically just tweaked the power, the kind of like transmit power settings,
and the transmit, the kind of speed of the
the
bandwidth.
speed of the yeah.
He's not answering. I think he's
So
actually
no.
fallen down a manhole or something. We'll leave him ringing away then. But they've got a load of parameters that you can change. Things like the transmit power.
Can't take your call right now.
Well, that's helpful. So things like the transmit power, the frequency, I guess, the bandwidth, which is effectively what it will try to send data at. And then I think, is there not some settings that say the encoding of the message as well? Like certain kind of error corrections and things that you can apply to
I
it.
can't remember. I'll find the exact. I've got it here.
He's got it. So while Phil's AWOL and Sandy's looking things up, we'll have a quick... Oh no, he's here. This is Phil. Phil, where are you?
Hello, did I cut off?
Yeah.
You're out of range.
Ah.
Where are you?
Am I back in range now?
Waiting. Not yet.
No.
Weird. What happens if it gets out of range and then it comes back into range?
Oh, it recovers fine. What you tend to see is, like, when you're right at the edge of the range, you'll get intermittent responses. So you'll get the LED light up, but then it might wait 7.5 seconds before the next. You're back.
Come
back.
Galaxy Minstrels.
You're back, Phil.
back.
You're back. Where are you?
I'm not far. I'm going to go far now. Run away! My Sandy said he got up to the traffic lights.
Yeah, he got up to the crossroads.
So he went...
Can we get a map up actually to
which-
show people where?
These traffic lights.
Yeah.
You know where the UTC building is, Phil?
The which one?
UTC building.
I don't know.
You know, on the way to Sentinel.
Yes.
Yeah. So basically to Sentinel.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically
Oh,
it's
I can
there.
always go to Sentinel. I've got a beer there.
They have. So, but interestingly, this morning the antenna was much nearer my window, whereas
Yeah.
here we're kind of right across the room.
So definitely going inside buildings is a no-no.
Possibly. Is
It
it?
stopped again.
It's stopped now, Phil. Where are you?
I'm not even that far. Just opposite Brandon
Maybe.
Tool Hire. So I got line of sight to the office building.
Oh no, there you
Oh,
go.
it's back. Yeah, it's back.
Yeah, it's back. I think it's this room. I think this room that we're in
Do you
with.
want to get the tab out?
Okay. Could easily be that room.
Second from right.
Oh,
Still,
wrong one.
like, I want to break line of sight with the built-out window around about now.
So effectively, we are I'm trying to see where Phil
It's
is.
still blinking.
Ah.
Yeah.
So I've broken line of sight with a window, and there's like a big metal building in mine. If I go back,
Yeah, it's still blinking. Where are you?
still blinking.
Yeah, where are you now, Phil?
Yeah, okay. I'm continuing past the hand car wash.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean. So if you look at
towards Waitrose, basically straight up the main road.
so on
So
this
I'm putting a lot of big metal buildings between us.
on this map. Sorry, Phil. I'm just saying. On the map we're showing on screen, you can see Pomeroni in the bottom right-hand corner. That's our building. Phil is currently walking along what's labelled St Mary's Road, heading left. As you
I'm
see it
now
on screen.
outside 192
It's outside
at the
192.
junction.
Yeah, it's stopped now.
Has it?
It has.
Oh,
no, it's back.
Oh, it's back.
This way.
Yeah.
So basically, yeah, it's just. I think it's still just about working. But basically, you can see 192 on the left there, and you can see Pomeroni in the bottom right corner, 192 in the top left corner.
I'm
So
turning left at 192 and looping back.
I'm hanging up on you now, Phil. Your work here is done.
See you soon.
See you in a minute.
Sure.
So yeah, you can see Pimoroni bottom right corner, 192 bar is top left corner, and yeah, we're still just about getting transmissions from there. I think if that was closer to the window, it would have
gone
done
further,
better.
yeah.
But actually, that's not that much different to where you got to today. Sandy got to this crossroads that you can see Matilda Street in the A61. So it's still, I mean, I think we worked out that we thought that when you'd done it, the distance was probably 300 to 500 metres or so.
Yeah, yeah.
As you go by road, not as the crow flies, but you know, effectively as you have to get there, and obviously feels a little bit short of that, but yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yep.
And now he's heading back to us. So.
And of course, if you on the transmitter, or yeah, whichever way you've got it working, on the transmitter, if you had a bigger antenna, like a kind of external antenna on your roof or something like that, a big antenna,
A massive one. Yeah.
then you're going to get much better range, even if you have a small antenna on the receiver.
And height makes a massive difference as
Yeah,
well, from what
yeah.
I was reading. So I think we might do something. We might stick something on the roof here because that'd be kind of fun. But yeah, it was pretty cool. That worked a little bit better this morning.
Yeah, I mean these are
Don't
just
know why,
they're small antennae. They're the same kind of antenna that you would get on your router, I guess.
Yeah,
on your Wi-Fi router at home.
That's pretty darned cool.
Yep.
So the other thing about the Pycom stuff that's interesting is that they actually, let me just get the shot open.
We should show the documentation as well, because the documentation they have is really thorough, and it makes it really easy just to to kind of use all the functionality that they've built in.
Okay, I'll quickly look at this and then we'll look at the documentation.
Yeah.
One thing that's nice about the MicroPython stuff is that if you develop a product using their kind of eval dev boards, they actually then have a kind of integration module to turn that into a real product.
Oh, okay.
So obviously the integrated modules are cheaper and they have bulk price discounts. I mean, it's not the cheapest way to get Wi-Fi into a product, but it's not unreasonable, and it does mean that you can develop in MicroPython, you can prototype very easily. So it would be great for kind of low-run, makeup products effectively, that kind of Kickstarter-y kind of space. Potentially gives a really good way to market. Which is kind of cool. I'll bring us up in the corner. Oh no, I won't, because I can't function. There we go.
Documentation.
Yeah, it's loading up. There you go. Thank you, Phil. That was dramatic. Live feed.
Return triumphant. Galaxy's instrument.
Good
yes.
job, man.
Yeah, so the documentation, they tell you about how to
It strikes me in retrospect I could have shared my location by my iPhone. That could have done the map update.
Well, we were planning to get the GPS module in there and actually live track it on the map, but I think we'll work on the learning portal after.
we'll do that maybe next week.
Yeah.
So they show you how to kind of update the firmware, how to install the various plugins, how to kind of talk to with the REPL or over serial, about FTP, about how to use the sensor board and the GPS board, the PySense and PyTrack.
The documentation was reasonably good actually, but the getting started URL on the boxes doesn't actually go to it.
It goes to an empty page.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you go to their website, you can click the getting started link, which works. We'll let them know.
They have a bunch of examples for doing kind of like specific things, like connecting to Wi-Fi, like we were saying, connecting to a router, and how to do things like MQTT. I think this is the HTTPS one is what Phil based the. Is that? No, it's not.
I think that's for making requests
as
opposed to running a server. But it's cool. Oh, you can still do threading in it as well. Nice.
Yep. How to control the LED, and then all of the kind of, they've got the API reference that tells you how to use, how to do things like toggle pins, how to do PWM. It's got a DAC on it as well, so I think you can
maybe get audio out.
You can generate audio signals on it.
We're just eating minstrels now. Right.
And
Minstrels are a tasty British snack.
as I was saying, this is how to use the SD card, how to log stuff to the SD card.
I'll take that off
Oh,
screen.
you've
Sorry,
taken it off,
Sandy.
yeah. Anyway, yeah. Anyway, it's very thorough. It tells you how to do everything, basically. It's
It's nice.
really good, yeah.
Oh, in fact, the SD stuff is actually just the standard Python file stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, they've just kind of tied the API to it.
Yeah,
Very
you just
clean.
have to mount it at the top.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, on the whole, I think you've had quite a lot of fun playing with us.
absolutely, yeah.
I like it. It's cool stuff. Yeah, check it out. Nice. I think that's us for this week.
I've
Yep.
got random announcement against
Go on.
my better judgment, as if I have enough places already to support people online.
Oh,
I made
yeah.
an unofficial Pimmerony Discord channel. So, if anyone's into Discord, if you're under the age of 30, you probably are.
Is it audio chat?
It has audio chat, but
Mhm.
people seem to use it quite extensively for just text chat, like a drop-in replacement for IRC, just to hang with communities of people with similar interests.
Is it a slackish thing?
It is a very slackish thing.
Cool. Okay.
It has benefits and drawbacks compared to Slack.
Right.
It is a very slackish thing. I think it's designed to be open, so you can create a channel and run a channel on it, and then the users upgrading to the premium version to get kind of premium features, then pay for the channel, I guess. It's very
Pay to chat.
user-centric kind of thing.
Cool.
But it's cool.
Very nice. In that case, don't forget to like,
Comment.
And subscribe.
and we'll see you next week. Fade to black. Fade to black.
Oh, yeah.
The black one.